Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Steve Kenyon Podcast. I'm Steve Kenyon. We are checking in with some of the champions, world champions and aggregate champions from the just completed Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, just ahead of the kickoff of 2025. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. In just a moment, we'll talk with Andrea Busby, who blew away the old average record during the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, making 10 clean runs, winning more than $220,000. Great performance for Andrea and a horse called Benny, a horse that has, in my opinion, really asserted itself as one of the best that's currently going. Remember, last year he carried Brittany Posey-Tanasi to a world title, and this year he carries Andrea Busby to a Wrangler National Finals Rodeo title. Today's program being sponsored by Rodeo Life Magazine. Thank you to Unbeatable Feeds. Looking for a location? Go to unbeatablefeeds.com and find out where you can find Unbeatable Feeds at a store near you. Let's talk about M2 Ranch Jerky. They're available now on Amazon. You can order M2 Ranch Jerky at m2-ranch.com and to try the true traditional cowboy jerky that M2 Ranch so proudly produces. By Team Equinity. It's all about the horse, teamequinity.com. The Justin Boot Company, scattered to the west since 1879, thanks to the Grandview at Las Vegas, place we stay during the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, and anytime, dailymanagementresorts.com. Wrangler, the official Western Wear Pro Rodeo. Long live Cowboys. Resistol, sponsors of the Resistol Rookie of the Year Award. The Gooding Pro Rodeo in Gooding, Idaho. Gooding County Fair is getting ready to celebrate its 100th anniversary in 2025. Of course, to our friends at the Cowboy Channel and to Next Gen Rodeo. So that brings us to today's Classic Rope, Classic Equine featured interview, and it's with Andrea Busby. She just won the average in record-setting style. All she needed to do on the final night was be quicker than 14:25, leave all the barrels standing, and she would blow away the old aggregate record. Well, she did all of that, riding a horse called Benny. It goes back to the Busby quarter horse's great stallion, Blazin' Jetalina. His offspring have now won over $10 million. I had a chance to talk to Andrea Busby about all of it. So I've got the pleasure and privilege of talking with the lady who just blew away the old aggregate record at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Andrea Busby joins us. Every run at the NFR under 14 seconds, placed almost every time you ran into the arena. Riding a great horse named Benny, who, Andrea, I really think, first of all, Andrea Busby, welcome. It's so nice to have you. Merry Christmas, and thank you for your time.
Merry Christmas to you, Steve, and thanks for having me.
I really feel like Benny cemented himself somewhere among the list of the really, really, really elite horses going this year. After what he did with Brittany last year and then to come back and what you did with him this year, that horse told the world, you better pay attention to me, I thought.
Well, I feel like I always knew that. We knew that. But yes, he left. I don't think he left any doubt this year about his place in history and just he's as good as they come. He's definitely a once in a lifetime kind of horse.
You placed in 9 out of 10 rounds. Your longest run was in round 4 with a 1381. Your 4 longest times were the first 4 runs. You were 1370, 1365. 1365 and a 1381, and after that everything was 1358. No, there was one 1361, your last run, but I mean everything was faster than a 13.6 basically after that.
He just kept getting stronger, and Dr. Tanner and I had an agreement before I went out there because he knows I'm pretty soft-hearted when it comes to my horses, and obviously they only do this because we ask them to, that we would let Benny tell me when I needed to get off. And because 10 runs in a row is a lot.
Yeah.
And he just kept getting stronger. And by the end, I'm not so sure he couldn't have gone 10 more. He got comfortable in there. And that's pretty typical for those horses. He got comfortable in there and just every night did his thing, no fuss, no nothing, just like he could do it 10 more rounds.
Yeah. So tell me about getting him. He knows that arena better than you do in a way, at least the first couple of rounds, because he'd been 100%. In there with Brittany last year.
Yep.
But what did you do when you got to Las Vegas? Did barrel racers have practice time? You can go in. It's got awful early in Las Vegas, 6 a.m. But how much time did you spend in the arena when you weren't actually competing with him? And how much time did you spend in the arena with him before the rodeo started?
Um, we got there. I think we had the Purina dinner on the second, and then practice maybe on the third. It was, and I had Brittany and I visited, and she came and rode, and we set the NFR pattern up at our house, and um, she said, he doesn't need this, but you need to send him through. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be 11 runs. And I didn't ask him for his life, but I definitely, I slow worked him once when I first got there. And then the next trip through, I did cruising through, and just to get the feel of that first barrel. And they talk about it, and everybody talks about the first barrel, but it's hard to understand what that angle's like until you're there. And we run at places that are blind all year long, but not that short. That timer's 8 feet inside and there's no sneaking up to see it. I told somebody that once you pick your line to the first barrel, there's no adjusting it. Once you come through the mouth of the alleyway, you got to ride that line you're on, good, bad, or indifferent. So that was the plan when we got there. And then I just took him back through, walked him through, and then we went, I went to practice every day and just slow worked him and made sure he was listening to me and going up, giving me room. And he's so literal. He runs exactly how you work him, which got me in a little bit of trouble the last round. I knew we didn't have to be fast. We just needed to be clean. And so that day I went out to where we were staying and I worked him pretty big. And as I went by the first barrel the last round, I thought, oh no, Benny, why are you so literal? But it all worked out.
Isn't it true in the barrel racing business, Andrea? This is my theory. You can tell me if you think I'm nuts or not. Isn't it true that if you're the time that you're trying the hardest to not hit a barrel is the time that you'll hit a barrel?
Right. Yes. When you just have to get around 3 of them. And I've played Division I volleyball. I've talked to, they had sports psychologists, and you have to tell yourself, don't tell yourself what you don't want to do. Go tell yourself what you do want to do. And so I've tried to be pretty cognizant of that, and we are going to go make a clean run. This is what we're going to do, and try not to get too wrapped up in all of it.
Yeah. Let me ask you about Benny and how much he means to you and your family, because Busby Quarter Horses obviously is a major player in the quarter horse business. And this horse Benny's 9 years old, right? He's sired by Blazing Jetalina out of a mare named GL Famous First Lady. But for you to be able to stamp a world title on another title, an NFR Average title on top of the world title that Benny won last year, on that great stallion Blazing Jetalina, that's got to mean something to you guys, doesn't it?
There's not very many things that make me cry in this world, and talking about Blazing Jetalina is one of them. And it's hard for me to do what that horse, I don't think very many people get to say a horse legitimately changed the course of their life. And my life would be completely different without Blazing Jetalina in it. And so I'm going to stop talking about him because I don't do it very well.
Yeah.
And then on to Benny. He's a gift from God, and we are lucky enough to be his people and his stewards, and you'll never convince me otherwise that he was just given to us as a gift, and we will cherish that gift and take care of him as long as we get to.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. It's Christmas Eve. I really didn't mean to make you cry.
I know. It's Blazing Jelly. I can't do it. I can't talk about him without crying. So we'll have to end that conversation about him there.
Yeah. Let me ask you about being involved in this barrel race at this National Finals Rodeo in particular. And I want to come at it from this angle, Andrea. as I watched 10 nights and watched what was going on with Cassie and Haley having that duel that they had, and two of the greatest horses ever in Jarvis and Sister, and watching what you did night after night after night, so solid and so consistent. And I don't know if where you are, I don't know what it's like down in that tunnel where you are waiting to come in and where you are staging to run and after you get done running, how much you can actually hear. But that arena was electric during the barrel race every night, I thought. What was it like to be a part of just the total package of what the fans saw and how reactive they were to the barrel race this year?
Well, for starters, I feel so incredibly blessed that the first year I made the NFR was with a amazing group of human beings. And all the barrel racers, they were awesome. They're all quality people. And so yes, there's battles in the arena, but there's not outside the arena. And everybody would give you the shirt off their back if you needed it. And it was like that all year long. And then, so warming up was it's kind of like, honestly, they say it's another rodeo, but it is kind of like another rodeo back there. It's pretty quiet. You can't hear much. You all warm up together. And I did feel a little stupid in the beginning because you can't, once you load in that alleyway, it's pretty quiet. You can't hear much. You can't, once you go past, there's a cement wall that a TV hangs on. Once so unless you're 15th, 14th, 13th, you can't see that TV anymore either. So you don't really know what's going on. I didn't know a couple people were having ground trouble those first few rounds. I hadn't gone back and watched it. And so it's fairly quiet. As the week went on, you know what's going on. You know that this battle between Haley and Cassie was transpiring, and then whoever ran the fastest time that last round wins the world, and that was pretty incredible to watch and be part. And I agree, two of the greatest horses that have ever lived, and all Cassie's been through, and it was heart-wrenching but incredible to watch at the same time. And then it was they were so sweet. When I came out, the girls in the alleyway were hooping and hollering. As I ran by, I'm coming back out the alleyway, and that was special.
Yeah. When you turned the third barrel on the 10th run, were you like, oh, thank God? I got it done, and the Steve Kenyon jinx didn't catch me. I'm so happy right now.
I know. Honestly, I was like, "Don't fall off now, Ronnie and Seabiscuit. Don't screw this. Just get across the timer." But I don't know. Honestly, you become such a little bit of a robot. But so I was still just so focused on finishing my run that I don't think it really set in until I got in the alleyway and they said my time. I was like, "Okay, it's done. It's happened. I can, It really did happen."
Yeah. Were you aware that you were as close as you were to setting a record? I had a statistic before the 9th go round that if you averaged, I think it was 1391 or 1392 slower than you had been the entire week on your last two runs, and then all you needed to be was like 1425 on that last run to set the aggregate record. You didn't just set it, Andrea. You blew it away. Did you know that was all going on? Were you paying attention to that, or is that the kind of thing you just leave to annoying people like me?
Well, I was on the Amy Wilson show before the 9th round, and she brought it up, and I had decided that was the day I was going to stay off Facebook, so I hadn't seen any of that, and so I did know. Honestly, I had no idea what I had to be the last round. I didn't want to know. There's no safetying up, especially in that building. You got to go make your same run. so I didn't know what I had to be the last round, and I I think a big part of that, yes, Benny made great runs. We are so fortunate to have Randy Spraggins out there doing the ground, and it's obviously getting better. The times are getting, I think everything in barrel racing is getting better, from the horses to the breeding to the ground's getting better, and that that certainly did not help our efforts, or didn't hurt our efforts. Sorry, um, to have really, and Benny handled the ground too really well. He has all year. He's got a very upright style, and knock on wood, to this point, I can't really think of a time that he's had ground trouble all year long.
Yeah, Benny strikes me as a really good bad ground horse. I did an interview during the course of the week. I had a chance to visit with Nellie Miller for a few minutes, and she had that Blue Roan sister that I think the sister could run on. She could run in the parking lot, and she could run in a swamp, and it didn't seem to matter. Do you feel like that's Benny a little bit?
For sure. I tried not to put him on hard ground or bad ground. We fought a foot issue after the NFR last year. I didn't even get on him until the 4th of July, and it was a keratoma, so he still had some stuff going on with that, and so I really honestly tried to keep him on pretty good ground all year, and didn't think I was putting him on tried not to put him on bad ground. And then when he got to the finals, like I said, I didn't know some people were struggling, because he just handles it, and I think it's his style and the way he uses himself. He never really gets leaned out on one leg, or gets to. He's pretty upright and under himself.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about that, because you kind of stayed off Benny the first half of the year. It took some other horses to get you there. Tell me about the other horses that helped to get you there.
I started the year off on another one we bred and raised, the Tito mare that I won Cheyenne on a couple years ago, and she made the finals semifinals at Denver, and made the finals at Fort Worth. And
another Blazing Jetalina, by the way. Don't cry.
Yeah. Yeah. She so, and then she fell in the finals at Fort Worth, chipped her knee, so we had to actually have surgery on her. So then Born on Derby Day, that we got from Seth and Ashley Schaefer, I started out on pretty much running her and the Pickles mare, and they were instrumental in that, from Red Bluff all the way through Strathmore and over the summer, and Ogden and whatnot. So it definitely took the entire herd to get it done.
Just to remind everybody, Pickles was another horse that was in Brittany's trailer a lot last year. Every time I talked to her, the first words out of her mouth were "Thank you to the Busby family." Last year, that's the relationship you had with her.
And she's a great friend. I don't think this would have happened without her, and I had to get a little tougher. And you're not going to be good friends with Brittany without getting a little tougher. And just knowing how to rodeo, and knowing, how to manage it on the road, and my tendency was, I'm gonna go home. Things just, versus figuring it out on the road, or getting it, and how to make all that happen, and how to get to 94 rodeos. I was still entered at Stephenville when we got home, and I knew I'd made the finals. Jeff said, "You want to go?" I was like, "No, I don't." Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. It's interesting, because you look at the spread. You went to 90. Do you get to count 100? Is that the number of the barrel races?
Yep, 100.
You went to 94. Cassie went to 20, and we all know everything that Cassie went through this year. And I forever believe Cassie Maurer is going to be one of my heroes now. She only went to 27 rodeos.
I want a rodeo like that.
Yeah, prior to the NFR. I did some math. It was like 6,000 plus per rodeo
Yes.
before the NFR, and then she comes into the national finals and does what she does.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
and
only one and only Cassie Mowry.
yeah, yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that. I
she's
agree with that.
incredible. But I think I'd only been to 70 before September, and Garrett Tanazi ended me last year, and he said, count every rodeo. You got to pay attention to your rodeo count. And I was like, okay, if I go to everything I could go to, I was going to get to 100. And he's like, okay. And then I ended up having to turn out of stuff here or there. But so I was at 74 in August. I went to 20 of those 94 in September. September was not a fun month to be in my rig, but it happened. It all worked out.
Excuse me. Let me ask you a couple of last questions. Were you watching the money at all? You were one of the 10 biggest money winners at the NFR this year.
I had no idea.
I just brought up the Top Gun standings. Cassie won 295,000. Riley Webb, Josh Frost, Dean Thompson, Bradley Miller was fifth. You actually won more than Haley did. You won 227,879. Haley was at 226,246. This was a great year at the National Finals Rodeo for people winning money, and you were in the top 10.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I've said this before, but I honest to God just I want to go out there. I want to win a check. I want to, it's hard to win money out there, and you're going against the other 14 best in the world, best horses in the world. It is no easy task. So for it to go the way it went was just an absolute fairy tale. And when it was all said and done, I was so excited. We went out to dinner. We celebrated after I won my first check. I was like, oh, life is good. Life has been made. Yeah. We went to Piero's to dinner. I didn't have a clue what was in store. So,
well, there you go. So let me ask you two final questions, Andrea, and I've kept you a little bit longer than I asked you for, but thank you so much for your time. And one of the questions I want to ask you is this, and I should have brought it up earlier when you were talking about Randy and the ground. The one night, I forget which one it was, there was the one performance where everybody made clean runs and everybody was like 13.8 or faster, or 13.85 and faster, something like that. I'd never seen that at the NFR before. This year was really a combination of exceptional horses, and I really felt like, and I don't know what the barrel racers were talking about to put this in the form of a question, but what were you all talking about behind the scenes as nights like that were taking place? And because I thought, for the most part, Randy deserved a lot of credit this year.
Randy deserves, so much credit. He works his tail off. So I saw other barrel racers defending him when people started complaining about the ground. I don't know if that was night 3. I don't honestly know what night that was. Saying that they don't care out there, and they absolutely do. And Randy gets less sleep, guaranteed, than anybody else in Vegas. And it's not because he's out partying. It's because he is at morning practice. He has the ground prepped, ready to go for us for practice at 6 a.m., whatever time that is, at 6 a.m. and good enough. And then he works it halfway through practice that you can make runs in there. And then, which we get to practice at places all through the year, but 99% of the time, it's not good enough that you're going to want to make a run on it at practice. And then he preps it all day long. He's testing the moisture, and it's a challenge. They don't get to get in there. They don't put the ground in very early, and depending on what the weather's doing, and whether they have the heaters on in that building or the air conditioners on in that building or the fans blowing under the arena. I mean, it's a lot of work, and going in, it's going to take a round or two to try and get that right. But he worked his tail off, and it shows in the times, it shows in the ground. And it was an exceptional group of horses. It was all year long, not just at the NFR. I think one week I ran a 17.0, a 16.8, and a 16.7 on standard sets, and I only won one of those rodeos.
Yeah.
The 16.8 was at Heber, and I was maybe 6th. The 17.0 was Idaho Falls, maybe, and I was 3rd, and then I won Preston with 16.7. But it was tough all year long. It was unbelievable set of horses. And but everybody across the country the WPRA has done a great job. It's taken us some time, but emphasizing the importance of good ground. Yeah. And these horses are such incredible athletes now. They're big, they're strong. It takes good ground to not cripple $1 million horses.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Tell me about Buzz. For folks who are not familiar, anybody in the quarter horse business I know is reasonably comfortable with knowing what Busby Quarter Horses is all about. But your family's built quite a legacy.
We put our heads down and just went to work and tried to breed things that we wanted to ride and do it right. If we put a product out there, we are trying to put the best product out that will stay sound, that will last. Whoever ends up getting on it, it's a good product that, if horses, you can wrap them in bubble wrap and things are going to go wrong. I always tell Marty Tanner that I think God really intended for horses to go extinct, and guys like him screwed up God's plan. But they can find a way to hurt them. They can find a way to hurt themselves in a padded stall. However, that's been our goal from day one, is to put the best product we can out there, and hopefully, they end up in the winner's circle. And you don't stay in this business very long if you don't sell good product, and if you don't sell winners, and if you don't, if that's not your goal. So obviously those were good individuals, but then Cassie, Jordan, all the other people that have gotten on those horses, they took those horses on and made them what they were. So, sorry, the dogs.
Oh, last minute Christmas delivery. I know exactly what that sounds all about. The UPS fans at the door.
Yep, there you go. But we've been very blessed, and obviously, again, Blaze and Jetalina changed the course of my life.
Yeah.
And our families. So
what?
That's pretty special.
Before I let you go, what are your plans for next year? Obviously, we're going to get through Christmas and New Year's, and then it's time to go again, Andrea. If you
enter in rodeos. So as we will, everybody starts back at zero, now we're above zero again, thank goodness. But I have a wonderful family, a wonderful husband, and as long as it makes sense for us to go and we enjoy it and it's what we do, we will continue to do that until it says differently. And as long as, so we'll try again.
Yep. $9.4 million sire, Blaze and Jetalina. Just in case, I just brought up the Busby Quarter Horses website.
Now he's crossed the 10.
Yeah, he's crossed 10. I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
I need to update the website.
Yeah. Yep. It's
put that on the to-do list.
Yep. There you go. On top of the million other things you got to get done in the NFR. Andrea, I appreciate your time. Congratulations on winning the Average. Congratulations on a sensational NFR. I really wanted to talk to you because I really felt like that there were so many good stories coming out of the NFR, and to me, Cassie was the single best story at the National Finals Rodeo this year. But what you accomplished needed to get some recognition, because Cassie might have been the best story, but you were one of the best stories, I thought, with how consistent.
Well, that's sweet. We're not doing this for any of that. I'm doing it because I love my horse. I love my horses. I love getting better. I love competing. And it's been a labor of love, and it's taken me a long time. And but as they say, the time was going to pass anyway. So you either get better, or you quit, or you just keep working at it. And so I appreciate that. And I've said this before too, but I am merely a spokesperson for Benny and the other horses I rode. They make this happen, and we're very fortunate to have them.
That's NFR Average winner Andrea Busby. The old aggregate record was set in 2021 by Jordan Briggs, the year she won a world title, at 136.83 seconds on 10 runs. She averaged 13.68 on 10 runs. Andrea, this year, 136.18 on 10 runs. She averaged 13.61 seconds over 10 runs. That's how good Benny was, and that's how good Andrea was during the course of the National Finals Rodeo. Our thanks to Andrea Busby. Our thanks to you for listening. Please like and subscribe to our 8 Seconds Media Facebook page and to our social media sites. We'd love to have you follow us throughout the course of the year. And a big thank you goes, of course, to Classic Rope and Classic Equine. Classic Rope, success is in your hand. Classic Equine, play to win. We are Classic Equine. The Steve Kenyon Podcast is brought to you by Rodeo Life Magazine, by Unbeatable Feeds, by M2 Ranch Jerky. Thanks to Equinity at teamequinity.com, to the Justin Boot Company, the Grandview at Las Vegas, to Wrangler and Resistol, to the Gooding Pro Rodeo, to Next Gen Rodeo, of course, to the Cowboy Channel, and to Classic Equine and to Classic Ropes. We will bring you more as the days go along and as we continue to talk to some of the top performers from the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. And if we don't visit again before the new year, Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope you had a very Merry Christmas. God bless everybody. I'm Steve Kenyon. This is the Steve Kenyon Podcast.